It is the Sunday morning service from the Rogues Tavern.
Amen. Fist bump.
Allahu Akbar. Good morning. It is Sunday, December 16th. Welcome to the Rogues Tavern Sunday morning service, where we are reading the Bible from the beginning. And we are here today at chapter 18 of Genesis, and we will continue our readings from there. But of course, since we're also reading from the beginning of the book, this book here, an old Bible, one I've had since I was a kid, given to me by my grandmother when I was young, and didn't get a lot of use for it. Recently pulled back off the shelves to share with you some of its ages, if that's what you want to call it. We're going to pick up where we left off last time in Jesus and for all intro bit to talk a little bit about what they have in here. Jesus was not a revolutionary political leader. He was not a Messiah who would lead the Jews into new days of glory, outshining even David's kingdom. True enough, his words taken seriously have revolutionary implications. He was a human, and he understood hunger and sorrow. He challenged the Essene teaching to hate the opposition by commanding his followers, love your enemies, do good to them that hate you. He also said they should love their neighbors as themselves. When a lawyer asked, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus responded with the story of the Good Samaritan, in which the Samaritan is the hero. Since most Jews considered the Samaritans so unclean that they would have no dealings with them, the lawyer had his answer. All men, even Samaritans, were his neighbors. After the first year or so of his ministry, Jesus chose the 12 men who would be his apostles. Most of them came from families as humble as his own, men from the fishing villages on the Sea of Galilee, or from the nondescript hamlets in the surrounding hills. Peter the fisherman seemed to be the natural leader, although his fiery personality often got out of hand. One man, Matthew, traditionally was the author of the first gospel, and was drawn into the circle from the tax booth of the hated Roman bureaucracy. At the other extreme came Simon the Zealot, persuading the other 10 to accept these two unlikely candidates, one a bureaucrat and the other a fanatic. Took considerable genius. How that goes. Let's go dive right in and what we're going to be dealing with. We're at chapter 18, Genesis. Been an interesting ride so far. Lots going on here. Genesis 18, chapter 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if I now have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. What are we talking about here? What's the... we left off last time with all the men of Abraham's house being circumcised. Oh, okay, this is it here. All the men being circumcised. Let's start this again because I was kind of confused this. Oh, for those of you that might be confused at the same time. So we left off last time with all of Abraham's men and himself being circumcised. Abraham getting his name Abraham versus Abram. And now, and the Lord appeared unto him, Abraham, in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. All right, so we got 3 guys here showed up. He's like, oh, hey, I like you guys, man. I'm bound for you here. I'm going to wash your feet. That was a big deal, of course, back in those days to have someone wash your feet. Because, it was a severe sign of respect. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal. Knead it and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah? Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah the wife shall have a son. Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Wait a minute here. We've got something big and bad and bold here that's not making a lot of sense. We've got Abraham. He's dealing with 3 guys. 3 guys. Gonna fetch them all bread and comfort their hearts. Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, make ready 3 meals, make 3 cakes, a fine meal. And then Abraham ran to the herd, got a calf, and then had it dressed, took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before. Okay, so he set it before these 3 people. You know not who they are. He stood by them under the tree, and they ate. Okay, so fed them, washed their feet, and fed them. And they said unto him, where is Sarah, thy wife? So they asked him where his wife is. And he said, behold, in the tent. He said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah, thy wife, shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. Okay, so who said this line? Confusing. It doesn't understand. It looks like Abraham is saying this line. He's going to return, but it's God. Confusing. Now Abraham and Sarah, old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So basically, they're very politely saying that Sarah's no longer having periods. She's already gone through, call it, there goes the word. Gone from my head. No, she's no longer menstruating. Anyway. So she can't have babies. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure of my Lord being also. So I have pleasure of my Lord. And the Lord said unto Abraham, oh, okay, so let's get this right here. We got the Lord. This whole thing is about the Lord coming in, but there was 3 men that were the Lord. So they've wrapped it up in such a confusing mess that you got to tease it apart here. So 3 guys show up, but these 3 guys are the Lord. Who are these 3 guys, and why is the Lord 3 men instead of the Lord God? You know, the ultimate being there. These 3 guys, I guess, represent God. They come in, they eat, and then they go back to a singular. They jumped this one around as a singular and plural in several times. So is the God is the Lord singular, or is he plural? Or is it truly that there was no God and they were all aliens, as many people speculate? So anyway, therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, and I have pleasure, and shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. Okay, got to make sure I'm paying attention to the commas in here. So after she got old, shall she have pleasure? In other words, is he gonna jump on top and do the on a mambo? And then she goes, my Lord is old also, her husband. And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Now, some of the ways they wrote it. Then we go on. Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Okay, what time appointed? There's been no time appointed here unless I missed it. So the Lord's like, is anything? Oh, and the Lord like he's laughing. It's like, is anything too hard for me? No, not. And he goes, at the time appointed, meaning I'll show up when I feel like it. I will return unto thee according to the time of life. and Sarah shall have a son. Okay. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom. Okay, so we just had a singular Lord, and then we're back to the plural men rising up to leave. What's that all about? Okay. And the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Ooh, that's kind of interesting. The Lord's asking, or Lord's saying, he said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Who's he talking to? He's not talking to Abraham. He's talking to one of the other dudes. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, and the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. Wow, that's okay. There's some really confusing bits in here, when you try to tease stuff apart. Okay, so here we go. First, he's talking to Abraham. Seeing that Abraham is surely a great nation. Okay, I know him. He'll command his children. That's all good. He's going to make his children do well. Lord may bring upon him Abraham, said which he hath spoken of. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah, 8, which is great, and because their sin is grievous. Okay, so there's a cry in Sodom and Gomorrah, so the Lord's going to go down there. See whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, that which it has come to me, and if not, I will know it. I have no idea what they're. And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. Okay, so a couple of the other men were heading to Sodom. Okay, so the Lord was one of these three men. These three men were someone else traveling with them. Makes a little more sense there. Two men take off and the Lord stays there. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Oh, okay, so this is God saying, I'm going to go down there and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and that Abraham's, are you going to destroy the righteous along with the wicked? And then peradventure is, what is peradventure? Peradventure is like, I need to look this up. Peradventure. Not as wealthy as he is. An adverb. Uncertainty or doubt at something is. Oh, okay. Well, we'll go with it as a noun because. So he's uncertain or doubtful whether something is. Peradventure there be 50 righteous in the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place? 50 righteous that are therein. That be that be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous in the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which I am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall be lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again and said, Peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto them, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall be 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it, if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure then shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left the communion with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. Did you see that Abraham was negotiating there for Sodom and Gomorrah's survival? He's saying, hey, if you can find 50, we destroy it? Well, no. If you find 40, we destroy it? Well, no. If you find 10, he's working the numbers down. Like, all right, what kind of crazy bullshit is this? That was chapter 18. Go on to chapter 19. Making this as challenging as possible. A lot of doublespeak. Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself, with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my Lord, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your way. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them gently, and they turned into him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot went out to the door of them, and shut the door after him. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. And he said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Do not so wickedly. I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Okay. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do... Oh, this is really interesting. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof, and they said, Stand back. And they did say again, and they said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee, and he needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou there any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? And whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. Okay, so this will be the angels. Okay, so this was who was kicking around with the with the Lord God, as discussed earlier. They didn't make it clear that they were angels kicking with him. So the guys showed up. They were angels. The Lord was with them. Then they took off. The angels went to Sodom. They ran into Lot. Lot brought him into his house under protection because the city of Sodom's a real shithole. And then the people came by and said, "Hey, Lot, give us those bloody angels. We want them. We wanna do all kinds of angelic things to them." He said Lot offered up his daughters instead. It's like, yeah, that's really kind of cruel. Your Lot, toss your daughters to the... But the people said, no, we want them. So the angels pulled Lot back into the house. And now the angels have told Lot, gather your shit, dude. You're leaving tonight. Because if you don't leave, it's not going to be good for you. So let's do that again. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? And whatsoever hast thou in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord have sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out, and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get ye out of this place. The Lord will destroy this city. He seemed as one that mocked unto his sons and sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, and the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. So Lot gave a chance to his son-in-laws and his other daughters to pass, but they're like, yeah, nothing's going to happen to us. We're invincible. Okay, and while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. All right, that one again. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, And thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape into the mountains, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold, now the city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. O let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto them, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also. I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city be called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of those cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. This is a really good description here for many that think it was a nuclear bomb or a nuclear strike from space that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And when Lot's wife turned back, she was vaporized along with him. And Abraham got up early in the morning, the place where he stood before the Lord. Okay, so we're going to make a big jump here. Like jumping around. It's starting to become like a good book where you read a component, one story, jump to the next story, and you're back and forth. How you lose track of it. Wonder how writers manage that shit. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. So he got to see the mushroom cloud there. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar, and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn, now this gets really interesting. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come into us, after the manner of all the earth. I love the way they word that. So very precise, but very vague. We go, Our father is old, there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us. So basically, they need a man to come in them, unto them, after the manner of all the earth. Because it gets interesting. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine. Now, where did they get the wine? Question. Doesn't matter. They got wine. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. So he was drunk out of his gourd. He didn't know anything. So basically, first documented case of female rape. That's what this is. First documented case of female rape. Female raping a man. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father, and let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Now we have the second documented case of female rape. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. Same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi. Ben-Ammi. Same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. Would that be the Ammon-Ras? And we're going to hit chapter 20. We'll probably call it. Yeah, we're... chapter 20 is a bit together, so let's roll through it. And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country, and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. Did this trick once before. You know, it's kind of a sleazy trick here. Okay, and God came to, and Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. Well, yeah. He said your sister. You didn't say it was your wife, you douche. You're really a slime bag, Abraham. And God came into Abimelech in a dream by night, and said unto him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, She is my sister? And she, even she herself, said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yeah, I know that thou doest this in the integrity of thy heart. It's exactly what it says, too. And God said unto him in a dream, Yeah, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. So God's taking credit for this. All right, it's actually kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I know. You did this in the integrity of your heart. And it's like, well, because of that, yeah, I stopped you from actually banging her because, I really didn't want. All right. Now, therefore, restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. If thou restore not her, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants, all these things to their ears, and the men were sore. That's a really weird one. Sore afraid. They used S-O-R-E, which is, instead of, I guess that's the right. Sore. They were sore afraid. And now, Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, I'm going to paraphrase here before I read it out. You're a douchebag, man. How dare you, such a dick, as to say this is your sister, and when I take her, find out that she's actually your wife. You're a douche. Okay, that's out of it. Here's what he had to say. what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not be done. So you see, that's basically what he said. You're a douche. What kind of maggot are you here? Slime bag. And now Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. All right, so Abraham's defending himself by going, hey, I didn't think you were afraid of God enough, and I was afraid you were going to kill me so you could take my wife. All right, that's a pretty slimy excuse. And yet indeed, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. Oh, so we got true incest here. His wife is his sister. Okay, his daughter of his father, so it's a half sister. That's really close on the lineage tree. Really close. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness, which thou shalt shew unto me. Every place, whether we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them to Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, well, where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all other thus she was reproached. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they all bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Okay, now that was a pretty slimy little bit of information. It seems Abraham was just a complete douche, and he was going around blackmailing people somehow. Had some sort of control. According to this, Abimelech was having, they would have had problems, but because of Sarah's wife, because he had taken Sarah to be his wife or whatever, all the other maids and everyone else in his kingdom were unable to have children. But it would have been an ongoing problem. It would have just appeared and then disappeared. I don't know. This whole segment here is just bizarre. We find that Abraham's sleeping with his sister. Married to his sister, so find out that Sodom and Gomorrah has been destroyed, and Lot lost his wife, and then his daughters documented raped him to have sons, and those sons are documented to be Moab and Ammon. And so this is interesting. This is like the Bible is full of fascinating stories of incest and intrigue and backstabbing. Wow, what a crazy book. So that wraps it up for this week. It's of the Sunday morning service from the Rogues Tavern. My voice is off today for some reason, but we shall have more fun with this next week. And who knows, I might even get in a couple of extra shows this week or sometime later to, hit some different parts of the Bible. Just because, the book of Genesis is challenging unto itself. That's all we got. We're going to sign it all out. Take care. We'll see you next time on the Rogues Tavern for the Sunday morning service.
Amen. Fist bump.
Allah!
Amen. Fist bump.